So welcome to another video on my 2005 modified Fiat Panda 4x4. Today I am going to be fitting my recently modified front bumper, and I'm also going to show you the modification I've done to my lower radiator support bracket. In my last video, which if you haven't seen you should really go and have a look at, I took the car to the south of Wales to do the Strata Florida, which is a really famous green lane in southern Wales. And that highlighted a few kind of key weaknesses of the Panda 4x4. One of them was when I did the bomb hole coming back down it, I went a bit too enthusiastically down and I basically kicked up two wheels at the back, landed nose first, and what that did was it had snapped the corner of my lower radiator mount. I found that the approach angle at the front wasn't as much as I wanted it to be, and that was because the overhangs on the front bumper were hanging down quite a lot further than they could be. But I couldn't modify that until I modified the lower radiator mount, and that was because the original radiator mount kind of mounted about here on the front bumper. So I couldn't have removed any more around the edges without compromising where the radiator mounted to. But now that I've modified the lower radiator mount, I was able to cut away some of the edges. I was able to raise this up as much as I could as well. So I've gained around 1 inch of clearance at the front in the middle, but I've gained a lot more in the corners. So I'll quickly run through with you what I've done here, and then I'll show you the bumper, and then I'll fit the bumper. We'll see how it looks. While the front bumper was off, I thought I might as well just scotch it up and get my painter Matt to put a coat of paint on it, so now it looks lovely and fresh. It's not going to last very long. I'm probably going to destroy it the first time I go out, but there we are. If I've got time as well tonight, I'm probably going to try and fit the front wheel arch extensions. Before I had them mounted quite low down, so that was affecting clearance, and on some occasions the front wheels were catching the wheel arch extensions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise them up by about 2 or 3 inches, and that'll give me a lot more clearance. I've already mocked up the back, so I'll show you that as well. But this should give me a lot more clearance when I'm off-roading. So let me show you what I've done. So I tried to do this in the most simple way possible, so if it ever breaks again, it's really easy just to mock up and to rectify the damage. But basically what I did was the original lower radiator mount continued along these two pieces of plastic, because this whole front panel is one complete panel. So I thought I'd go to the easiest point, chop them off. I mounted a angled piece of aluminium, which I think is about 7 or 8 mil thick. Mounted it to my front crash bar, which then mounts on just to a straight piece of angle aluminium as well. That sits in, the radiator sits in there using the original locating tab. There's also a layer of rubber in there so it doesn't chafe away at the radiator. But what I've done was I've raised up as much as I possibly could, so now it sits completely flush at the top. I know it's a bit damaged, but it's not leaking at the moment, so I'll stick with that for now. But the original plastic came down and it was about that thick. So I have gained probably over 1 inch at the front, and it's the same this side. I cut it at the same point, these two areas there, mounted it onto this straight piece. Underneath we've put in some locating studs as well, so then once the bumper's on, we can fasten the bumper tightly to this, so then it sits nice and flush. And instead of having only 2 mounting points on the original bumper, we've gone for 4. My mechanic Jamie helped me sort all this out, so thanks very much to him. But yeah, so I will show you the bumper now. So this is the freshly painted front bumper. I'm just in the process of mounting the front grille on, which a lot of the locating tabs broke, so I've had to just use a nut and bolt. But what you can see at this point here is the original bumper would have curved around and met at the bottom here. So I have removed that, which has gained probably about 2 or 3 inches at the bottom, and all the way around where it meets up with my arch extensions. The way that this middle section mounts is because the new radiator mount is about 1 inch higher. Once this is bolted in, this will pull the center section up, so I will gain about 1 inch from factory as well in the middle section. So this should be a big improvement overall. But the plan is now get the bumper, get it mounted on, get it all fixed into place. I've got to mount my 2 spot lamps onto the bumper as well before it goes onto the car. So let's get onto that. So it is now the next day. The modified front bumper is now on, and the amount of extra clearance I've gained is pretty substantial. So this is the section that was cut off, and if you see it lined up, there's a fair amount which has been removed. So I've probably gained a good kind of couple of inches on the sides of the bumper, and in the center of the bumper I've probably gained about an inch of clearance. So if you look at it from low down, there is a lot more clearance now, which will really help when I'm off-roading. So the plan is to fit the front fog lamp trims. I was going to fit an LED upgraded unit, but I've decided against that. I fitted it up, it didn't quite look right, so I'm just going to get uprated LED bulbs in the near future. But for now, I'll put the original fog lamps back in, put the grille back in, wire in the spot lamps, and then that is the front bumper area done. And then after that, I'm going to fit my wheel arch extensions. Before they were mounted here, but my plan is now to mount them kind of just where the original arch flare starts to kick out. So I'm going to mount them all the way up here, which will give me a lot more clearance from the tyre compared to where it was before, which is down here. So I'm going to gain a good couple of inches of clearance there as well. So I'm going to finish the front bumper, put the front grille back on, wire in the spot lamps, put the fog light trims back in, and then I will tackle the arch extensions. So because of my front bumper modification, it means I have to remove this mounting point here because the bumper no longer has that section. So I'm going to quickly cut this bit off, fit the original fog light, and then mount this up onto the bumper. Right, that's now been removed. Time to mount the fog light. That's all mounted up, looking pretty nasty. But yeah, like I said, I'll change it eventually just to get it on the car, get the bumper looking complete, and then I can get around to fitting the arch extensions. So yeah, get the other one all done and then put them both on. Both units cut down, fog lamps all mounted up, ready to install into the new bumper. So let's get cracking. Fog lights are in. Now it's time to fit the front grille, plug in the spot lamps, and then that is the front end done, and then I'll move on to the arch trims. That is the front bumper, fully on, looking absolutely brilliant. The amount of clearance I have gained is huge. So the next thing to do, like I said, fit the arch extensions, which I've already done at the rear. So basically the same thing that I'm going to do to the front. The rear ones are mounted probably a couple of inches lower, and it did sometimes just touch and scrape when I was doing some off-roading. So what I've done is I've raised it up now, which meant I had to go into the door. So I've had to make a cut on the arch extension. So when I open the door, half of it will open with the door. And one of my previous mounting points, I've put a little bolt in with a little bit of aluminium, which then will hold this out so it lines up perfectly. So then when I close the door, it is spot on. These aren't the finished fixings I'm going to use. I'm going to have some nicer ones, but these are just the ones I had lying around, so I'm using them for now, but eventually I'll change them. But yeah, the amount of extra clearance I've got at the back now is huge, so yeah, really happy with that. So I need to do that to the front, and that is my next job. So the plan will be line it up with the lip on the new arch trim. Is going to line up with my existing cut on my front wings, and that will raise it up by quite a lot. Just drill some holes, use some self-tappers, hold it in place, And eventually when my proper mounting bolts turn up, I will be using them. And I've also got a rubber gasket which is going to sit around all the arch trims as well. So yeah, I'm going to grab the drill some holes, put some cell tappers in, and that'll hold it in place. Hopefully it won't get much worse. So the weather's turning pretty nasty, but that is one side on. Much more clearance now compared to where it was before. So now it's time to do the other side and get it all mounted up. Extension done, and look at the amount of clearance I've now got. That is a huge improvement. Absolutely chuffed with that. So that is the front end pretty much done now. I've just got to wait for the LED bulbs to turn up for my front fog lamps. So once they arrive, I'll put them in and that'll look absolutely fantastic. But yeah, the amount of clearance I have now gained from doing these modifications has been well worth the effort. With that modified lower radiator mount, that's probably gained me over an inch of clearance in the middle. And then removing the sections of plastic on either side of the radiator from the bumper, I've gained at least another 2 inches as well. So that's going to really help things when I'm off-roading. Mounting the wheel arch trims higher up, around 2 inches of clearance from the front and rear as well. So that's going to improve things. Hopefully this has inspired you guys to maybe do a similar modification to your Panda 4x4. I'm looking forward to getting out on some trails to really see how much clearance I've got when I go over some kind of steep inclines and some quite tight approach and departure angles. But yeah, overall, I'm chuffed with the result. So, and painting the front bumper as well has made it look even better. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. If you could like the video, comment your thoughts, or if you have any other ideas or modifications I could do. And if you want to see what I'm getting up to more frequently, have a look at my Instagram page, which is the Panda 4x4. Think about subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.